Park heard the noise again. Something was moving inside the food storage building. He grabbed his flashlight and walked slowly across the dark colony grounds. The twin moons of 442b gave just enough light to see the path ahead. Nu was a small colony. Only 300 people lived here, mostly farmers and scientists. They had come from Earth 15 years ago to grow crops and study the alien forest that surrounded them. It was quiet work, safe work, or so everyone believed. Opened the storage door and shined his light inside. Bags of grain had been torn open. Dried meat was scattered on the floor. And there, in the corner, sat the strangest creature he had ever seen on this planet. It was not alien, it was from Earth. The animal was small, about the size of a dog, with thick gray and white fur. It had a flat head, small ears, and eyes that showed absolutely no fear. It looked at the way a person might look at a minor problem, not scared, not worried, just thinking. Knew what it was immediately, a honey badger, but how was that possible? He remembered now. 5 years ago, the colony had received animals from Earth's preservation program. Most were kept on the north side of the settlement. There had been reports of escapes over the years. A few rabbits, some birds, but a honey badger. The creature made a low growling sound and continued eating. Should have called security. The animal was stealing food. It could be dangerous. Honey badgers on Earth were famous for their bad temper and complete lack of fear. They attacked lions. They ate poisonous snakes. They simply did not care about anything. But was a veterinarian. He had spent his whole life studying animals, and something about this creature made him curious. He sat down on a box near the door and watched. The honey badger finished eating. It looked at for a long moment. Then it walked past him, out the door, and disappeared into the night. Smiled. "I will see you again," he said quietly. He was right. Over the next few months, the honey badger kept returning, started leaving food out for it. At first, the animal would only eat when was far away. Then it allowed him to sit closer, then closer still. Named the creature Bandit because of the white stripe on its face and its habit of stealing things. The colony administrator was not happy about this. "You are feeding a wild animal," she said one morning in her office. Was a practical woman with short black hair and tired eyes. She had too many problems to deal with already. It could hurt someone. "Honey badgers are not usually aggressive toward humans," said, "and this one is special. It has survived alone in an alien forest for years. It has learned things. I want to study it." Sighed. "Fine, but if it bites anyone, I am holding you responsible." Agreed, and continued his work with Bandit. By the 6th month, Bandit would follow into the forest. The veterinarian made regular trips to collect plant samples and observe local wildlife. Bandit came along, sometimes walking beside him, sometimes disappearing for hours before returning with blood on its fur. The alien forest had many small creatures. Bandit hunted them all. Learned to trust the honey badger's instincts. When Bandit became alert, danger was nearby. When Bandit was calm, the path was safe. They became partners in a strange way. The human with his science and careful thinking. The honey badger with its fearless nature and sharp senses. Then the disappearances began. First it was livestock. A farmer named reported that 2 of her goats had vanished in the night. No bodies, no blood, just gone. Then more animals disappeared. A dozen chickens, a cow, the colony's only horse. Called a meeting. "Local predators," she announced. "The forest has many dangerous creatures. We need better fences." But was not sure. He had studied the local wildlife for years. Nothing on this planet hunted like this. Local predators were messy. They left blood and bones and tracks. These disappearances were clean, too clean. He shared his concerns with after the meeting. "What are you suggesting?" she asked. "Aliens from space?" Had no answer. It sounded crazy even to him. A week later, a farmer named Go went missing. He had gone to check his fields at sunset. He never came back. Search parties found nothing. No body, no blood, no sign of struggle, just his hat lying in the dirt at the edge of the forest. Fear spread through the colony. People stopped going out at night. Parents kept their children inside. The forest that had always seemed peaceful now felt dangerous and dark. Could not sleep. He kept thinking about the missing farmer, about the clean disappearances, about the feeling that something was watching them all. One night he took Bandit into the forest. It was dangerous and stupid, but he needed to know. They walked for 2 hours, deeper than had ever gone before. Bandit moved ahead, nose to the ground, following a trail only the animal could sense. Then Bandit stopped, came up beside the honey badger and saw what lay in the clearing ahead. It was a creature from the forest, something like a deer but with 6 legs. It was dead, but not killed by any animal new. The wounds were precise, surgical. Pieces of the creature had been removed carefully, almost scientifically. And carved into the tree above the body was a symbol, not natural, not random, a mark left by something intelligent. Something that was hunting, something that was watching. Felt cold fear in his stomach. Beside him, Bandit stared at the symbol with those fearless eyes, growling low and steady. Whatever was out there in the dark, it was not from this world, and it was not finished hunting. The message came 3 days after found the body in the forest. Every screen in the colony turned on at the same moment. Every speaker crackled with the same voice. Deep, cold, not human. Creatures of this settlement, we have watched you, we have studied you, now we will hunt you. People ran into the streets, staring at the screens mounted on buildings. Children cried. Adults stood frozen with fear. The image on the screens showed a creature that would haunt their dreams forever. It stood over 2 meters tall, covered in dark green scales. Its eyes were large and yellow, like a snake. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth. Long arms ended in claws that looked like knives. "We are hunters," the creature continued. "For 10,000 years we have traveled the stars seeking worthy prey. You have been selected. This is an honor." Pushed through the crowd to the main communication building. Followed, carrying Bandit in his arms. The honey badger was growling, sensing the fear all around. "The hunt will begin in 3 days, they announced. "Your ships will not leave this planet. Your calls for help will not be heard. This is our tradition. This is our law. Those who fight well will be remembered. Those who do not will simply die." The screens went dark. Panic exploded through the colony. People screamed. Some ran for their homes. Others ran for the landing pad where the colony's 2 small ships sat waiting. But when they got there, they found the ships already burning, destroyed by weapons fired from somewhere in the forest. Worked through the night trying to send distress signals. Nothing went through. They had blocked all communications. In the morning, she called a meeting of all colonists in the main hall. "I will not lie to you," said, standing before 300 terrified faces. "We are in serious danger. We have searched the galactic database for information on the. What we found is not good." She pressed a button, and data appeared on the screen behind her. "They are apex predators from the outer rim. They travel the galaxy hunting intelligent species for sport. They have done this for thousands of years. Over 200 species have been hunted to extinction by them." Gasps filled the room. Someone started crying. "No prey species has ever successfully fought them off," continued. "Their technology is advanced. Their bodies are built for killing. They see heat so they can find us in the dark. They are faster and stronger than humans." An old man named Han raised his hand. He was the colony's botanist with white hair and kind eyes. "Then what do we do? Just wait to die?" Had no answer. Stood up, Bandit sat at his feet, calm as always. "We fight," he said simply. People turned to look at him. Some laughed bitterly. "Fight," a woman called out. "With what? Farming tools?" "Yes," said With farming tools, with traps, with poison, with anything we have. They expect us to run and hide and beg. Every species they have hunted did exactly that. We will do something different. Looked at him for a long moment. You think we can win? I think we can survive, said. And sometimes that is the same thing. That night took Bandit into the forest again. He needed to understand the enemy. He needed to see them up close. They moved quietly through the dark trees, following trails that Bandit seemed to sense. After an hour, Bandit stopped. The honey badger's body went stiff. Its fur stood up. It stared ahead at something could not see. Then he heard movement, heavy footsteps. Something big was coming. Hid behind a fallen tree and watched. Walked into the clearing. It was younger than the one on the screens, smaller, but still terrifying. It moved with the confidence of a creature that had never known fear. In its hands was a weapon that glowed with soft blue light. Then something happened that would never forget. Bandit attacked. The honey badger shot forward like a bullet, moving faster than had ever seen. It leaped at this face, claws and teeth tearing at the alien's eyes. The screamed, not a battle cry, a scream of shock and pain. It dropped its weapon and fell backward, trying to pull the small creature off its face. Bandit did not stop. It bit and scratched and tore, completely ignoring the alien's attempts to throw it off. Blood, dark and thick, sprayed across the ground. Finally, they managed to grab Bandit and throw the animal against a tree. But instead of running, Bandit stood up and prepared to attack again. They did something did not expect. It ran. This massive predator, this hunter of intelligent species, turned and fled from a creature 1/10 its size. Grabbed Bandit and hurried back to the colony. His heart was pounding. His hands were shaking. But in his mind, a small hope had begun to grow. They could be hurt. They could be scared. They were not gods. They were just hunters who had never faced prey that refused to be afraid. Far away, in a ship hidden in the mountains, the hunt leader named watched footage from his young warrior's helmet camera. He saw the small earth creature attack. He saw his warrior flee in terror. Had led hunts for 200 years. He had killed thousands. He had never failed. But as he watched the footage again, watching this tiny animal attack with no care for its own life, he felt something he had not felt in a very long time. He felt uncertain. What kind of creature, he whispered to himself, attacks when it cannot possibly win? He did not know the answer, but he knew that this hunt would be different from all the others. The hunt began on a cold morning. Mist covered the ground like a white blanket. The colonists waited in their homes, holding whatever weapons they had found: kitchen knives, metal pipes, farming tools. The first death came before noon. A young man named had gone to check the water pumps at the edge of the colony. He never came back. His body was found an hour later, displayed on a wooden frame at the forest edge. A trophy. By sunset, a second colonist was dead. An elderly woman named Shin who had refused to leave her small garden. They killed her and left her body where everyone could see. Fear spread like a disease. People cried. People prayed. Some wanted to give up, to walk into the forest and let the hunters take them quickly, but would not allow it. They want us afraid, he told the survivors that night in the main hall. Fear makes prey easy to catch. Fear makes prey make mistakes. If we want to live, we must become something they have never seen before. We must become hunters ourselves. Stepped forward. She was a strong woman with oil-stained hands and sharp eyes. Before coming to the colony, she had served in the Republic military as an engineer. She knew how to build things, dangerous things. I can make weapons, she said. Explosives from the farming chemicals, traps using metal and wire. Give me people and materials and I will make the bleed. Han, the old botanist, raised his hand. I know plants in the forest that make poison, strong poison that attacks the nervous system, and there are spores that cause blindness for hours. I can collect them. Nodded, good. We will not fight the directly. We are not strong enough, but we can trap them, poison them, attack them when they do not expect it. We will make them afraid of every shadow. Stood up, her face was pale but determined. Tell us what to do. They worked through the night, led a team building explosives and traps, took volunteers into the forest to collect plants, planned their strategy, studying maps and thinking about where they would likely attack next. And Bandit stayed by his side, those fearless eyes watching everything. 3 days later, they were ready. The first trap was set near the eastern water source, had buried explosive charges under the path and covered them with leaves. Trip wires connected to the detonator. And Bandit hid in the trees nearby, waiting. Just after midnight, 3 came. They moved silently, their yellow eyes scanning for heat signatures. They walked right over the buried explosives. Press the button. The explosion lit up the night. Trees shattered. Earth flew into the air. When the smoke cleared, one lay dead, its body torn apart. Another was badly wounded, trying to crawl away. The third had been thrown against a tree and was not moving. Colonists rushed from hiding places, carrying spears made from metal poles. They finished the wounded before it could recover. For the first time in 10,000 years, prey had killed hunters. The survivors did not celebrate. They knew this was just the beginning, but something had changed. The hopelessness was gone. In its place was something harder, colder. They could fight, they could win. Received the news in silence. 3 of his hunters dead, killed by creatures his people had classified as Category 4 prey. It was impossible, it was shameful. But was old and wise. He did not let anger cloud his thinking. Increase patrols, he ordered. Find their hiding places, burn their buildings, make them understand that resistance only brings more pain. They attacked the colony directly that night. They came with fire and weapons, burning storage buildings and destroying equipment. 5 more colonists died in the chaos, but had expected this. While they attacked the colony, a small team led by moved through the forest toward the alien camp. They carried bags full of spore bombs, simple containers filled with the blinding powder from forest plants. They found 3 guarding their supply cache. Through the first bomb, it exploded in a cloud of yellow spores. They screamed as their eyes filled with burning powder. They could not see. They could not fight. The colonists moved in with their simple weapons and killed all 3. Wen and Bandit returned from the battle at the colony, was waiting with captured alien weapons. The old botanist was covered in dark blood, but he was smiling. I think, said, the hunters are starting to understand. We are not normal prey. Took one of the alien weapons. It was heavier than it looked and it hummed with power. This is good, but it is not enough. We need to find their ship. We need to stop them from calling for help. Had been listening. Her arm was bandaged where a piece of burning metal had cut her during the attack. I have been thinking about that. The ship must be in the northern mountains. That is the only place large enough to hide it. Looked at Bandit. The honey badger was cleaning blood from its fur, completely unconcerned. This small creature had helped them find enemy camps, had warned them of attacks, had even fought face to face without fear. We cannot win by defending, said quietly. Sooner or later they will overwhelm us. We have only one choice. Understood, her eyes widened. You want to attack their ship. Nodded, I want to end this. I want them to know that humans are not prey. I want them to feel what fear truly means. In his mountain camp stood over the bodies of his fallen warriors. 6 dead now, half his hunting party, against primitive farmers with no real weapons. For the first time in 2 centuries, felt something cold in his chest, something he had almost forgotten. Fear. But he pushed it down. He had never failed. He would not fail now. Tomorrow, he announced to his remaining hunters, we end this. We kill them all, every man, every woman, every child, leave nothing alive. His warriors nodded but could see it in their eyes. They were scared too. The prey had become predators, and the hunters did not know how to be hunted. The colony had changed. What was once a peaceful farming settlement now looked like a fortress. Metal walls blocked the streets. Trenches surrounded the buildings. Traps waited beneath the ground for any enemy foolish enough to walk over them. But more than the buildings had changed, the people had changed too. Stood on the roof of the main hall, watching the forest with Bandit at his side. Colonists moved below, carrying weapons, checking defenses, preparing for the next attack. These were not the same frightened farmers from 2 weeks ago. These were survivors, fighters. Climbed up to join him. Her injured arm was healing, but she would carry a scar for the rest of her life. She wore that scar with pride now. "Our scouts report they are gathering," she said. "All 6 remaining hunters. They are planning something big." Nodded, he had expected this. They will come with everything they have. They cannot allow prey to defeat them. It would destroy their reputation across the galaxy. "Can we hold?" asked. Thought carefully before answering. "Maybe, but holding is not enough. As long as they have their ship, they can wait us out. They can call for reinforcements. We need to take the fight to them." That night gathered his most trusted people in the storage building. Was there with her explosives, with his poisons. A young farmer named O who had proven himself brave in 3 fights. And Bandit, of course, who sat watching with those endless calm eyes. "I have a plan," said. "It is dangerous. Some of us may die, but if it works, we end this forever." He spread a hand-drawn map on the table. It showed the mountains to the north, where the ship was hidden. "Tomorrow night, when they attack the colony, a small team will move through the forest to their ship. We will plant explosives. We will destroy their communications. We will trap them on this planet with us. Study the map. The ship will be guarded." "Yes," agreed. "That is why we will take Bandit. The honey badger knows the forest better than any of us. And they are afraid of Bandit. I have seen it. The creature that attacked their warrior, the small demon that shows no fear, it haunts their dreams." Smiled, showing old yellow teeth. "Good, let them have nightmares." The attack came the next evening, just as the sun was setting. They approached from 3 directions, moving through the trees like shadows. They expected easy prey. They expected fear and screaming. They found something else. The first to enter the colony stepped on a pressure trap. Sharpened metal spikes shot up from the ground, piercing its legs. As it fell screaming, colonists appeared on the rooftops with captured alien weapons and fired. Another tried to climb over the metal walls. Boiling water poured down from above, scalding its face and hands. It fell backward into a pit filled with poisoned stakes. Watched from the forest edge as his hunters died. 2 more gone in minutes. Only 4 remained, including himself. "Fall back," he ordered. "This is a trap." But the prey had learned from the predators. As they retreated, colonists emerged from hidden holes in the ground behind them. Simple weapons, farming tools, and sharpened metal cut at the aliens from all sides. One more fell, stabbed through the back by a woman who had lost her husband in the first attack. She screamed as she killed the alien, tears running down her face. And his 2 remaining warriors escaped into the forest. For the first time in his long life, was running from prey. Miles away, his team moved through the darkness toward the mountains. Bandit led the way, stopping sometimes to sniff the air or listen to sounds humans could not hear. The honey badger moved without fear, as always, treating the dangerous mission like a simple walk through the forest. Carried a bag full of explosives, had his poison-tipped darts, held a captured weapon, his hands shaking slightly but his eyes determined. They reached the ship just before midnight. It was larger than expected, a dark metal structure hidden in a valley between 2 mountains. Lights glowed from windows. The communications tower rose from the top like a metal finger pointing at the stars. 2 guards stood at the entrance. Looked at Bandit. The honey badger looked back and could swear the animal understood exactly what needed to happen. "Go," whispered. Bandit shot forward, a gray blur in the darkness. The first guard saw something small and fast coming toward it. Before it could react, Bandit was climbing its body, teeth and claws finding the soft places between scales. The second guard turned to help, raising its weapon. That was when its poison dart hit its neck. The stumbled, its movements becoming slow and clumsy as the toxin attacked its nervous system. Finished it with the alien weapon while helped Bandit defeat the first guard. Within a minute, both were dead. They moved inside the ship. It was warm and smelled strange, like metal and something organic. Alien symbols covered the walls. Lights blinked in patterns could not understand. Found the engine room and started placing explosives. Spread his poisons through the air circulation system, and climbed to the communications tower and destroyed every piece of equipment they could find. As they worked, found something in a storage room that made his blood freeze. Recordings, hundreds of them. Each one showed a different hunt on a different planet, creatures begging for mercy, children crying for their parents, entire species wiped out while they laughed and celebrated. Wanted to vomit, he wanted to scream. Instead, he the recordings onto a small device. The galaxy would see what they had done. Everyone would know. They escaped the ship just before its explosives detonated. The blast lit up the night sky like a small sun. The communications tower fell. The engines caught fire. They were trapped. Back at the colony, the survivors saw the explosion in the mountains. They did not know exactly what had happened, but they understood what it meant. Hope, real hope, for the first time since this nightmare began. Looked at the fire burning in the distance and allowed herself to smile. "We are not prey," she whispered. "We were never prey." In the forest saw the explosion too. He saw his ship burn, his way home destroyed, his hunters dead or dying around him. Only two remained. Himself and a young warrior named who had been humiliated by Bandit in their first encounter. "We must surrender," said, her voice shaking. "We cannot win, we must beg for mercy." Turned to look at her. His yellow eyes were empty. "The do not beg, the do not surrender, we will die as hunters or we will kill them all." But deep inside, in a place he would never show anyone, was afraid. The prey had become predators, and he did not know how to stop them. Morning came gray and cold. Smoke still rose from the mountains where the ship had burned through the night. The colonists stood on their walls, watching the forest, waiting. Had not slept. He sat in the main hall with Bandit curled up at his feet, studying the recordings he had taken from the ship. 200 planets, thousands of species, millions of lives ended for sport. They were not just hunters, they were monsters. Entered the hall, followed by in. They all looked exhausted but alive. That was more than it hoped for when this started. "The scouts found them," said. "Two remaining, the leader and one other. They are hiding in the southern forest near the old research station." Stood up, Bandit woke immediately, those dark eyes alert and ready. "Then we finish this, today." The colonists gathered at the edge of the settlement. There were perhaps 200 survivors from the original 300. Too many had died. But those who remained stood tall, holding their weapons, their fear replaced by something harder. Spoke to them one last time. "They came here believing we were prey. They thought they would hunt us, kill us, and add us to their list of conquered species. They were wrong." He looked across the crowd of farmers, scientists, engineers, old people and young. Normal people who had become something extraordinary. "Today we end this. Not because we are stronger than them. Not because we have better weapons. We end this because we refuse to give up. Because humans do not accept death quietly. Because when something threatens our families, our homes, our future, we fight back." Bandit made a low sound, almost like agreement. Today they learn why Earth creatures are feared across the galaxy. Today they learn what happens when you hunt humans. The crowd cheered. It was not a sound of joy. It was a sound of determination, a promise. They moved into the forest and waited in the ruins of the old research station. It was a small building, half-collapsed, surrounded by thick trees, a defensible position for a final stand. Held his weapon ready. His scales were dull with exhaustion. His eyes had lost their confident glow, but he stood straight, a warrior to the end. Crouched behind a broken wall, her body tense, she kept looking at the forest, expecting to see the small demon that had her face, the creature from her nightmares. When the colonists emerged from the trees, felt something strange. Not fear exactly, something closer to respect. These creatures, these soft-skinned beings with no claws or scales or natural weapons, had defeated an entire hunting party. They had killed 10 of the galaxy's greatest predators with farming tools and primitive explosives. It was impossible. It was magnificent. Stepped forward, Bandit at his side. He raised his hand and the colonists stopped. Called out, "I know you can understand me. I know your kind has translators. Listen carefully." Tilted his head, "Speak, pray." "We are not prey," said. "We never were. Your mistake was thinking that fear makes us weak. But humans feel fear and fight anyway. That is what makes us strong." Was silent for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was a cold, empty sound. "You have one little human, I admit this, but the do not surrender, we do not accept mercy." He stepped out from the ruins, standing in the open. "I challenge you, single combat. If I win, your people let me leave this planet. I will tell no one what happened here. Your shame will remain secret." Grabs arm. "Do not accept, he is trying to trick you. He is faster and stronger." Looked at the creature who had ordered the deaths of so many innocent people. Then he looked at Bandit. "I accept," said. The colonists formed a circle around the two fighters, dropped his weapon and extended his claws. Held only a simple metal rod, sharpened at one end. "This will be over quickly," promised. They fought. Was fast, faster than anything had ever faced. His claws cut through the air, slicing his arm on the first attack. Blood flowed immediately. Dodged the second attack and swung his rod. It bounced off scales without leaving a mark. The third attack caught his chest, leaving 3 deep cuts. He fell backward, gasping in pain. Stood over him, raising his claw for the killing blow. "You fought well, human. Better than any prey I have hunted, but in the end you are still just meat." Then something small and gray hit from the side. Bandit. The honey badger had watched the fight with those patient, fearless eyes. When its human was about to die, it attacked. Not from fear, not from anger, simply because that was what needed to happen. Screamed as Bandit's teeth found the soft spot behind his knee. He stumbled, his balance broken. The killing blow missed by inches. Did not hesitate. He drove his sharpened rod upward into the gap where his jaw met his throat. Alien blood sprayed hot and dark across his face. Fell. He was not dead yet. He lay on his back, looking up at the gray sky, blood bubbling from his wound. "Cheating," he whispered, "2 against 1, dishonorable." Stood over him, bleeding from a dozen wounds, barely able to stand. Bandit climbed onto his shoulder, covered in blood. "You hunted children," said quietly. "You killed families for sport. You have no right to speak of honor." Tried to respond, but the words would not come. The light faded from his yellow eyes. The greatest hunter of the died in the dirt of a small colony world, killed by a veterinarian and a honey badger. The last had watched everything. She dropped her weapon and fell to her knees. "Mercy," she begged. "Please, mercy." Looked at her for a long moment. Part of him wanted revenge. Part of him wanted to kill her for everything her kind had done. But he was human, and humans were better than the. "You will live," said. "You will tell the galaxy what happened here. You will show them the recordings from your ship. And you will tell every hunter, every predator in the universe this message. Humans are not prey. Come for us and we will end you. Nodded, tears running down her scaled face. In the weeks that followed, rescue ships arrived. The Galactic Council reviewed the recordings from the ship. The species was sanctioned, their hunting rights revoked, their leaders arrested for crimes against sentient life. New was rebuilt, the dead were remembered, and the story of what happened there spread across the stars. Became a hero, though he never wanted to be one. He returned to his quiet work as a veterinarian, studying animals, helping the sick and wounded. And Bandit stayed with him. The honey badger who had helped save a colony spent its days sleeping in the sun, stealing food from the kitchen, and occasionally wandering into the forest to hunt small creatures, completely unaware that it had become a legend. Years later, children were told stories about the hunt on 442b, not stories of glory or honor, stories of warning. They spoke of the humans who refused to fear death, the soft creatures who became harder than steel when their families were threatened. And they spoke of the small demon with fearless eyes, the creature that taught the galaxy's greatest predators what it truly meant to be afraid. The humans had a name for it, the story said. They called it Bandit. And somewhere in the universe, on a small colony world, an old honey badger yawned in the sunlight, completely unconcerned with its own legend. Some creatures simply did not know how to be afraid, and sometimes those were the most dangerous creatures of all.